This is Taya Graham reporting for the Real News Network in Baltimore City, Maryland. It's early voting time for a variety of local races in the blue state of Maryland. But the question is, will the new progressive Democrats win, or will the Democratic establishment prevail? The city of Baltimore embodies many of the conflicts which drive national politics. Decades of aggressive policing which has engendered fierce debate on the role of law enforcement in the community. And a city where white enclaves have thrived, while predominantly black neighborhoods continue to be plagued with poverty and neglect. Which is why the Real News spent several days at early voting locations across the city. We wanted to hear, not from politicians and the pundits, but the people. And an unvarnished look at what the people of the city want and the issues that were on their mind when they voted.
What issues were important to you in terms of your vote this election?
Well, my number one issue is education, particularly here in Baltimore City. Behind that is crime. Crime meaning how black people are treated by the criminal justice system, as well as opportunities for adults to get jobs, to work, and to build our communities. Those are the issues that were important to me.
I wound up voting for Ben Jealous, who seemed to be doing sort of a balancing act between being progressive and being viable.
This election cycle, what was the issue that was the most important to you?
To get as many Democrats in as I could, and to get someone who are interested in the children's in school.
Vote.
So does that mean, who did you vote for the state's attorney's race?
Marilyn Mosby.
Okay, why? People were critical of her?
They were critical, but number one, she wasn't afraid. When things got started, she didn't back down just because she's in the police department. I don't know what's going on there. Something is going on that's not right, and she didn't back down from that. She took a stand. Okay, let's get this done. We're hearing from the people. Let's do it. So that's what I loved about her, because she's taking a stand. She's not afraid. So that's what we need. Somebody that's not going with the flow. We need somebody that's going to take a stand and just do right by the city.
I just think it's a time for change. You give people a chance, but sometimes you just have to move on. You know, I think we're looking for a change, and I think we might get it. And if not, we all got to pray for it, and hopefully that it will rectify itself.
Oh, and with the case of leaving Nathaniel Oakes' name on the ballot, who was indicted for bribery, some critics have said that that was done purposefully to try to split the black vote to get the new young white candidate in office. What's your response to that?
It's a very, very strong possibility. But on the other hand, if the person is guilty of something, and I'm talking about not potentially, but there's a lot of material has actually shown that the person is guilty of it, then the person has no right to be in the office anyway.
Now, one of the things that people criticize Marilyn Mosby for charging the officers of Freddie Gray, and I'm only asking this, how did you feel about that criticism of her?
Well, listen, you know, there's always going to be people who have criticism, and other people who are going to have praise, and you're always going to have both sides, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who actually praised her for that, and listen, nobody's God.
I mean, if you can't make a difference national, then the local is the most important, and being involved or wanting to be involved with budgeting for education and crime and everything else that comes with living local, you really need to start voting on a local level.
Also, I'm concerned about Democrats in the Senate and in Congress. I love Larry Hogan, and I'm a Democrat. And I love you, Larry Hogan, because he's been able to walk a fine line between getting caught up in the crap that is Washington and maintaining what is important to the constituents here in Maryland.
You guys did the gubernatorial thing the other day. Yeah. And, you know, there was one guy on there, Jaffe, I think was his name. He kept saying one thing that resonated with me and that I think is true. It's really about the people. You know, we can have any kind of system, they can belong to whatever party, but if they're horrible people, we're going to get a horrible government.
People are having to make decisions between whether or not they're going to eat or keep a roof over their head or get medicine, and it shouldn't be this way. So I think the Democrats need to find a platform that can speak to everyone, not just African Americans, but also Hispanics and whites, because I understand the fear, but that doesn't mean that what we should do is block all the borders and separate children, hoping to force people to not come to the greatest country in the world. Why wouldn't they?
So, Michelle, what issues are important to you in this election in terms of what's influencing your vote?
What's important to me is making a change within Baltimore with the crimes. There's too much killing, too much violence, too much of these young kids today just needing some type of more guidance and assistance with their youth and guidance with jobs and help and the things that they need to accomplish within life.
Do you think we need a Democrat as governor, or is that going to affect your vote in terms of how you vote in the governor's race? Or do you think Hogan will give the education funds we need here in Baltimore, or how do you feel about that?
I like Hogan, but I believe he should have been more proactive than reactive. For instance, the school system where they went the winter without any heat, that shouldn't have happened.
Now, do you feel like did national politics at all influence you in terms of how you voted for governor, like in terms of what's been going on with Trump? And did any of that influence your vote in terms of who you want to see take on Hogan, or does that
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Because this Trump administration is out of control. So we need somebody that's going to be able to stand up to him, you know, and call him out if he's wrong.
And we have candidates in the Democratic Party that have been running unopposed for 12 years. I don't think that's such a good thing either.
So Marvin, what was the big issue for your voting today?
My issue is crime. Crime in Baltimore City. I just think that they could do a better job if they would leave Ms. Mosley alone and let her do her job without a lot of politicizing a lot of the issues, and let her do her job. I think some things will get done, you know, so that's it.